Hey guys, happy Sunday. Welcome back to Speaking 360. And what are we going to be talking about today? Well, we're going to be looking at the effects of fear on the body of a speaker, of a communicator. How do you manage that? If you understand what's going on, then I think it helps you develop coping strategies so that you can deal with any anxiety that you may experience. Because, they say that speaking in front of other people is the number one fear, don't they? So many people, probably you, experience some kind of anxiety when you're speaking or communicating with other people. So if we can learn how to deal with that so that we can still speak, we can still communicate, then that's a significant advantage, isn't it? Now, I interviewed Dr. Bruce Lipton a couple of years ago, and we dug into this in great detail, how he talked about the fear, the way that it affects the body, and how specifically as a communicator, strategies that we can tackle that, we can deal with that, we can manage that. So the first thing he said that happens when we're stressed is that the body moves from growth to protection. Now, in a state of growth, all of the trillions of cells, he said, are reproducing, and some are dying and new ones are being reproduced, and all of the nutrients and minerals and everything, the nutrition that the cells need is being supplied, and all the waste products is being removed, and it's a very kind of healthy, growth-oriented situation. But in a state of protection, that kind of shuts down, and so the growth processes stop. So that's the first thing he said. Then he said, picture the blood normally, when you're in a state of growth and it's all in the viscera around your internal organs, and you're in this kind of state of growth, nutrition. But when you're in a state of fight or flight, what happens? Well, if you're going to fight or flee, then you need the blood in your limbs. The blood needs to come out to the extremities because there's not enough for everything. It's preferential, it's one or the other. And so the body mobilizes to be able to deal with the threat. So it goes to the muscles so you can run or you can fight. And not digesting food or anything else. That's the next thing. So the digestion shuts down. So as soon as, we're talking about a fraction of a second, the body's amazing the way that it responds. Then all of these things begin to happen. The blood moves away from the viscera out to the limbs so that you can fight. Digestion shuts down. Because if you think about it, digestion uses enormous amounts of energy, doesn't it? Think about this, like up to a third sometimes of the energy that we get from some of the things that we eat goes into the process of digesting it. And because after you've eaten a meal, you get sleepy. You need a nap after you've eaten. So what's the point in digesting food that may give you energy in a few hours' time if you're about to be eaten by a bear or a lion immediately? So the blood moves away. And if you see the wall of the stomach, it blanches white when this happens, as the blood goes away from those processes. So digestion shuts down. What else uses a lot of energy? Your immune system. So the immune system shuts down as well. Think about, I got COVID in November of last year, and many of you have either had flu or you've had COVID, What do? Well, I laid on my side and watched Netflix for 9 days. Couldn't do anything. I had no energy for anything. Why? Because my immune system was using it all. It was using it to tackle the internal threat. Now, if a lion's about to eat you, then there's no point in fighting off an internal infection that may kill you in 7 days' time if you're going to get eaten in the next 7 seconds, is there? So that shuts down. That energy then can be used. As I said, it's genius. All of these things happen in a fraction of a second to give you all of this energy so you can deal with this immediate threat. So it's genius, really. But then the last thing, and this is the one that's particularly specific to speaking, your thinking ability kind of shuts down. And we know this of, people say, exam stress, don't they? You have exam stress, so it's the stress of the exam. You can't remember, even though you know it. Even though you know it, you just can't quite seem to remember it. Why? What's happening here? Well, he explains that the capillaries in the forebrain contract to push the blood, preferentially again, back to the hindbrain, because the hindbrain is involved in kind of reflexive actions, which are much more likely to be able to save you in an emergency like that. You can't think your way out. You can't reason with the lion. You just got to react and try and get away. You're unlikely to fight it, really, aren't you? So we're talking about fleeing in that particular example. You're not going to think your way out. So the blood moves away, so you actually lose the ability to think in the same way. So what does this mean for speaking? Well, when are you most likely to feel anxious? If you feel any anxiety about speaking in front of other people, when is that going to be? Is it going to be at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end? Well, it's probably going to be before, isn't it? There's as soon as you think about speaking in front of other people, that's the trigger for many people. They start stressing. So before you've even started, then, just anticipating the event, you start to get anxious. Then when you start, it's at a peak maybe, and then once you've been speaking for 30 seconds or a minute or so, it kind of calms down and you realize, actually, this is not as bad as I thought. I'm doing it now. I might as well do it. And then, it kind of, the longer you speak, the more it passes. So really what we're saying is the moment when you most want to be protected from this ability of the body, incredible ability to shut down your thinking, but it's not going to help you in that speaking moment, is right at the beginning, isn't it? So what do? Well, he said if you can delegate some of those things to habit, then they're going to be available to you and you won't need to think about them, because habits are things that we do without thinking, aren't they? We don't need to think about them. We can think about something else and we can do all of these marvelous things very quickly. So if you practice out loud, practice your presentation, practice all of it, but particularly you're open. The first words you're going to say, the first couple of minutes, you're open. If you practice that out loud, not on paper, don't craft over the words, that's thinking, but out loud, practice it out loud so you're saying it, get used to saying it, experiment with saying it in different ways. It will get better as you do that, but also you'll internalizing it. So don't practice on paper, don't do all your preparation on paper, practice out loud, particularly you're open. You should practice it all if it's important, and it probably is, but at least you're open. So practice out loud on paper, practice you're open a lot. A lot. You'll be very grateful if you do, particularly, as I say, if you're prone to anxiety. Then review your practice. Review your practice. So if you video record yourself or audio record yourself, or say you're practicing to do a Zoom session or a Facebook Live, practice on Zoom, practice on Facebook Live. Do a practice session of your Facebook Live to a group that only you're a member of, or you and one of your colleagues is a member of. So no one can see it, but you can go and review it. You can watch it back and see what the audience are going to see. This is great for mastering your craft anyway, but you watching yourself, watching your presentation is going to really help you internalize that information. So it becomes a part of you. And then what you'll find is that your coping skills grow. The more you internalize your open, then the better able you are to do it, the better able you are to cope with the stress that pops up and stops you from being able to think clearly or as quickly, because more of it becomes delegated to habit. Makes sense, doesn't it? It's amazing how it works. Now, another interesting thing is the more you prepare like this and the more you develop the coping skills to be able to deal with stress, the less likely it is to happen, because your confidence grows at the same time. Particularly if you're watching it back, if you're watching yourself, if you're seeing yourself doing it, you're proving to yourself that you can do it and you're gradually getting better. So the more you prepare, then there's a real confidence that comes from that. And you're also internalizing your message at the same time. So you know it better and you're getting better at delivering it and you're feeling better about it all the time. So pretty simple, really. It's not rocket science. Prepare. And the better prepared you are, then the better prepared you are to deal with adversity. And the better prepared you are to deal with adversity, the less likely you are to have to deal with adversity, because it's probably not going to happen because you're feeling confident, you're feeling difficult about it. So everything changes as you go. Simple, really. Anyone can do this, you can do this, and you should. So Nelson Mandela kind of sums all of this up. What are we trying to do then? Well, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. He said the brave man or the brave woman is not he or she who does not feel afraid at all. It's not about not feeling fear, but it's about doing it anyway. It's about conquering that fear by taking action. And with speaking, I think the best thing you can do is prepare. And that preparation takes the form of practicing out loud like it's the real thing before you think you're ready. And everything gets easier the more you do that. That's it for this week. If you like this video, then please like the video. Put a comment up. Let us know what you like, what you'd like to hear more of. We'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to get an email each week, or you know anyone that wants to get an email each week, then you can share this link with them. Speaking360.com. Pop your name and email address in there, and we'll send you an email with the videos every Sunday. That's it, guys. Thanks for being a part of Speaking360. Lots of love. See you soon. Bye-bye. God bless.